Hello viewers, today we are going to have discussion over upstream and downstream channels of a supply chain management. Now before I begin, I would like to show you this simple supply chain model so that you can easily grasp the concept of upstream and downstream operations. You can call it a basic model showing all the entities of a supply chain. You can see that there is a supplier, manufacturer, distributor, retailer, and a shopper, or you can say a customer. I have students from all walks of life. Therefore, it is necessary for me to at least have few words on each entity before we proceed, as this is the foundation of upstream and downstream operations concept. So let's begin with the first entity in the supply chain, and that is suppliers. Supplier provides the raw material or services to the manufacturer so that he may produce the desired product. There can be more than one supplier of a raw material or services. For instance, if you are a car manufacturer, you need a tire supplier, windscreen supplier, nut bolts supplier, dashboard supplier, rim supplier, etc. etc. Suppliers have their own suppliers too, which are known as Tier 2 suppliers. Consider a supplier which supplies dashboards to a car manufacturer. He will be considered Tier 1 supplier. As you know, the dashboard is made up of plastic. So the supplier who is providing plastic as a raw material to the supplier is a Tier 2 supplier. Let's move on to the next entity, that is manufacturer. Manufacturer is the one who manufactures the product by procuring raw material from the suppliers. He then hand over the finished product to distributors, wholesalers and retailers for selling purpose. Distributor. Distributor is simply an agent who distributes or supplies goods to the retailers. Retailer. Retailer is the one who sells the goods to the public in relatively small quantities for use or consumption rather than for resale. Customer or a shopper, a person who buys goods or services from a shop or from a business. I hope you must have got good grasp of all the entities. Let's now begin with the discussion on upstream and downstream channels. Upstream supply chain operations are those in which the material flows into the organization. Upstream is the supply network of company suppliers and their own suppliers. Anything coming into your company from raw materials to finished products and used in whatever you deliver to your customers in the upstream part of your supply chain. Downstream supply chain operations are those in which materials, mostly in the form of finished products, flows away from the manufacturer to the customers through different intermediaries like distributors or wholesalers, etc. Taking the middle manufacturer as the midpoint in this diagram, the left part is called the upstream and the right part is called downstream. We often use a term logistics when we talk about a business supply chain. There are two types of logistics operations, inbound and outbound. Inbound logistics are related to the upstream activities and include all of the movement of the product before manufacturing. They involve receiving materials, storing them, and the manufacturing processes required to produce the product. Whereas the outbound logistics are related to the downstream operations involving just about all of the movement of the product once it is transformed into a finished product. Let's discuss flows in a supply chain. There are four types of flows in a supply chain. Product flow, which is a flow of materials or goods from supplier to customer. Cash flow, which is a flow of money or cash against sold products or services. Reverse product flow, which is a flow of product for the purpose of repair, remanufacturing or disposal. And the fourth one is the information flow. Product flow is quite a simple concept. If you are a manufacturer or service provider and if you have produced a product or a service, then obviously it will go in the downstream for sales purpose through various intermediaries like distributors or wholesalers, etc. Companies, regardless of their sizes and business sectors, all have to rely on suppliers. It can be related to purchasing raw materials, transport services, office equipment or fully furnished products. Production can occur or not depending on the company's business activity. Product flow is quite a simple concept. If you are a manufacturer or service provider, and if you have produced a product or service, then obviously it will go in the downstream for sales purpose through various intermediaries like distributors or wholesalers, etc. Cash flow happens from downstream to upstreams. For example, the retailer needs to pay the distributor for the goods they have received from them. Similarly, distributor has to pay to the manufacturer, and manufacturer has to pay to its suppliers. This is how money travels from downstream to upstream. Reverse product flow. Reverse product flow, which is also known as reverse supply chain, is for products returns, repairs, remanufacturing, or disposal. This is usually handled by reverse logistics, and you need a separate arrangement other than forward supply chain to take care of your reverse supply chain. For instance, if you are a manufacturer and you have received a product for repair, you might not want to take it to the factory or manufacturing unit to carry out the necessary repair job. Instead, you can establish a service center where customers can drop the product, or you can make your warehouse as a central location for collection of all the repair jobs, and then you can send it to your factory for repair, or you can ask the retailer to collect the faulty equipment or product from customers, and if you are a manufacturer, your truck will collect all the faulty products from the retailers and bring it back to the factory for repair, and then they will drop it back to the retailers once the repair job has been done. There can be several arrangements like this. This is how reverse product flow takes place. Reverse supply chain is a significant aspect of a supply chain, and I will make a separate video on this particular topic. Information flow. Information flow happens both ways in the supply chain, since organizations will need to share the different types of information with each other so that the whole supply chain can make better decisions to improve overall performance. It is extremely important for each entity in a supply chain to stay updated with the happenings in upstream and downstream channels so that they can proactively plan as per the changing market dynamics. For example, if you are a manufacturer, it is very important for you to stay updated with the downstream activities by coordinating with distributors, wholesalers, and retailers to know about customer preferences, likes, and dislikes. If manufacturer is not updated with the downstream happenings, then he may produce a product design which is outdated or no more desired by the customer. In short, when information flows in both the directions, it provides visibility. On the basis of information, organizations forecast sales, study customer attributes, stay updated with the inventory levels. It protects all the entities from bullwhip effect, etc. etc. So, information sharing is an important aspect of a supply chain through which entities can have a better insight of what is happening in the business. Similarly, it is extremely important for, let's say, a retailer to stay updated with the upstream activities too, so they may sense so he may sense if there is a shortage or a disruption of raw material from the supplier's end, or if there is anything wrong with the distributor which can affect his sales. Therefore, he should take proactive actions accordingly. Information flow in both ways is extremely important for all the entities in a supply chain for smooth operations. Let me summarize the whole discussion. An upstream supply chain is one that includes all the activities related to an organization's suppliers, parties that procure raw material inputs to send to manufacturers. It deals with suppliers, purchases, and production lines. A downstream supply chain refers to the post manufacturing activities, that is, the distribution of the product to the end customer. The upstream channel can also be called as supply end, whereas the downstream channel can be defined as demand end. Supply chain management seeks to balance supply and demand to ensure that there are no lost sales, stock shortages, or over ordering. It depends where you are in the supply chain. A retail company supply chain manager would think of the company's suppliers as upstream and its delivery operations as downstream. From a manufacturer's warehouse manager perspective, the company plants are upstream and the delivery to customer is downstream. In the end, I would like to share a popular saying, and that is, it is not enough to have visibility. eyes are useless if your supply chain can't execute and cascade upstream as an input for planning and serving across the channels. Viewers, if you find value in this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and pressing the bell icon. Thank you.